Hi there, I'm Rod Bergeron, and today we're going to be painting a little bit of a winter scene, something that I seen yesterday on my drive from Peterborough to home, and it's a little bit wintry here right now in southern Ontario, so that's what we're shooting for. All right, so I wet sort of the top 1/3, maybe just a little bit more than the top 1/3 of the page here. And I'm going to go from left to right and then right to left. And this is a large 3/4 inch flat brush. And the piece of paper that I'm working on is 140-pound Canson watercolor paper. And it's 6 by 4.5. All right. So yeah, I'm going to put a little bit more Payne's gray across here. And we're just letting this bleed off to wherever it is it's going to go to, okay? Don't worry about it too much because it's going to be sort of pushed way back into the background. We're going to let a little bit of that Payne's gray bleed there for a second. And I'm going to take this brush, rinse it off really well. And I'm going to pick up some of this, which is sienna, okay? And I'm just going to drop a little bit of this sienna in a few places across there. Maybe rinse that off again and pick up a little bit of yellow ochre. And again, we're just going to let that bleed off to wherever it's going to go to. Now this is going to become way back into the background, okay? So don't worry about it too much. You just really want to get some good bleeding of the color, mixing of the colors and bleeding of the colors off into the background. And you can see how this sky has already started to turn into a misty, sort of wintry kind of sky for us. Now, I'm going to use this brush. I'm not going to rinse it out or anything. I'm going to pick up some Payne's gray, and we're going to put a fence line going. So this is wet up here, and this is dry down here. So this is going to be wet paint on a dry page. And we're just sort of going to install a jaggedy kind of a tree line, or the beginning of a tree line going across like this, okay? So don't do any more than that to it. And we're going to set this brush aside, and I'm going to pick up this, which is my #1 round watercolor brush, but I've sharpened the one end with a utility knife, okay? So that's just sharpened, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to draw into that paint a few trees. So this is called scribing. So all I'm really doing is dragging out of the wet area to build myself some trees. Okay, and I want you to do this all the way along here. If it's trees you want to make, or some other kind of undergrowth, just scribe it in like that, okay? All right, that's coming along pretty good. Okay, nice. You can do it everywhere if you want. I'm just going to make some grass here. And what you'll see is that the little puddle will become less and less because you're dragging out of the puddle to create your tree. So this will become a much smaller puddle as you do that. All right, that's turned out pretty good. That's what we're going for across there. But what we need to do now is we need to go back and pick up some more Payne's gray. So I'm going to take this brush and I'm just going to touch it to my Payne's gray, and I'm going to put some more Payne's gray right into that wet line, okay? And now what we're going to do, so you'll see that's quite a bit more intense than that previous one, and that's what we're going for. So I'm going to make some fence posts, and so I'm just going to make my line slightly thicker, okay? Just slightly thicker. And then I'm going to draw out of that to create the fence posts, or the fence, the rails, I should say. All right, and you can do that in both directions if you want. However it is that you are thinking about creating the fence posts. And then you'll see I'm going to need another one sort of in between each one of those. So you can take some of this paint out of here and just draw one in if you want. If not, don't worry about it. Okay, So that's coming along pretty good. And you can see how that's quite a bit darker than the original paint that we put in there. And that's what we're going for here. We're going for layers upon layers upon layers upon layers. I'm going to take this brush and I'm going to touch those again, not necessarily in exactly the same place, but now from that, I'm going to put some more trees in. So we're going for, you know, I live in Southern Ontario, and we have agriculture is a big part of this particular area. And so we have a lot of farmland, and we have a lot of places where there is these kinds of fence lines. But I think everybody's probably seen this at some point in their life. To me, it's just sort of my everyday surroundings. And you can see that's turning out pretty cool right there. Okay, so we're going to take our big brush and we're going to rinse it off again. And we're going to pick up some yellow ochre. Knock most of the water off that. We're going to put some yellow ochre in a few places. Okay, and maybe a little bit more intense than that. So I might just go right to the actual yellow ochre and pick some up. Same deal. I'm going to put some yellow ochre undergrowth in here. And if you pick up a little bit of the Payne's gray. All right, look at what's happening in this sky and this background back here. That's turning out very cool. Okay, so now before we do anything else to this, we need this to just completely dry. Okay, so just leave it, walk away, don't touch it. All right, let's take a look at this. Look at what has happened to our sky back here. That turned out pretty fabulous. I really like that. Looks like a tree line way off in the distance. And see how this varies, this line across here varies, so it's got a more realistic feel to it. And then look at our fence line across here. That turned out really well. So those couple of colors, you know, there's Payne's gray done twice, yellow ochre, scribing through it a bunch of times. Let's see what happens when we put our mat on here. That's not too bad. I like it. I'd love to know what you think of it. Let me know in the comment section. And I'd really love to hear from you. I'd love to know where you're from. So if you could drop me a comment and let me know where you're from, I'd appreciate it. Also, if you're currently a subscriber, thanks a lot. And if you're not currently a subscriber, please consider subscribing to my channel. Thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you again next time.